Hey, what day is it today?
The 7th?
Is it the 7th? The 7th of December. It's
Yep.
short it's shortly after 10 a.m. on the 7th of December. Have you done your holiday shopping, Kate? Have you done your holiday shopping yet?
Not fully yet. I'm just curious, are we live right now or no? Because I'm just curious.
We are so live.
Oh, good. Okay. I wasn't sure.
We're live from beautiful downtown Beaumont, Alberta, Canada, about 10 minutes south of Edmonton. And we're here with the wonderful and awesome Kate Neligan from Boulder, Colorado. And where in Boulder, Colorado, Kate Neligan?
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Where is Boulder, Colorado?
It's about an hour from Denver.
An hour from Denver. And I brought along my good friend Dorothy, who is from
Edmonton, Alberta.
Edmonton, Alberta.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm Robert Mandelson, the creator and facilitator of powerful play experiences, positive workplace mental health for teams. And I'm all over the idea that we need more positive mental health at work.
Yeah.
And because I'm all over the idea of positive mental health, I'm super pumped and super excited to meet the amazing Kate Neligan.
I'm excited to meet both of you. So it's always good when you hang out with Canadians.
Yeah, apparently we're nice people.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Apparently we're nice people.
On a good day.
You are an extraordinary businesswoman, Kate Neligan. Extraordinary. You have a passion for the healing power of horses, and I saw something about you using the words equine-partnered. What's that all about, Kate Neligan?
Yeah, so a lot of people might call it guided or assisted or equine facilitated. And I personally think there are partners, there are equals. And so I just like that terminology better. It differentiates me a little bit as well. The traditional is equine assisted psychotherapy or equine assisted learning as the major categories, though.
Wow, those are big words for me. Those are big words. And what does all that mean? What does all that mean, Kate?
Yeah, so essentially we're partnering humans, we're partnering with horses, primarily on the ground to do personal and professional development. So with companies and teams, it's around mindfulness, communication, leadership, team building, like you do, or it is with individuals, we're really working on whatever they might be going through personally. And for me, all work boils down to emotional intelligence and self-love. Those are kind of the keys I find.
So that's a broad range of healing, team building, positive mental health going on there. Is that part of a business that you operate in your home at Boulder, Colorado? Is that part of a business that you operate?
Yeah, so Awakening with Equines is what I have as my company. My website is kateneligan.com, and I
slow down. Real slow. How do we find you?
Sure, it's kateneligan.com. But I have Awakening with Equines because I really feel like the horses are here to help us in our own personal awakening. And we also have a certification program where we help train people, especially new or next level equine partnered coaches.
Okay, so before we bring lovely Dorothy into this conversation, because she does very similar but different work than you. I'm also a certified career counselor, Kate. So tell me this. So you're in high school, you're in college, you, Kate, you're in high school, you're in college, and you wake up one day and say to yourself, wow, I got to choose a career. Man, I'm going to go into the healing power of horses. I'm going to go into a career that partners people and horses one-to-one and in groups, and give people just an incredible experience of healing through the healing power of horses. Do you wake up one day and say that's a career decision?
I love that teens and college kids can now. That I'm in groups on Facebook, that equine assisted groups, and they are saying, I want to do this. And I'm like, that's amazing that you would know that at that age. For me, I had already had a long, successful career in corporate America doing marketing for a movie studio. I had no idea this existed. I had no idea that horses were healers. I grew up riding, but I did not know that I could do anything like this for a career. I always wanted to work with animals and be a veterinarian, but I had a friend one day who, like, I was helping her with some healing stuff, and out of nowhere she goes, I see you coaching horses, because I was already doing regular life coaching with women in women empowerment groups in 2009 when I graduated with my master's. But then it just became very quickly, oh my goodness, I could do something with horses. And then the first time I saw it was addicts in recovery in a rehabilitation center in Malibu were coming out weekly. And I saw them change so quickly in 2 hours. And I said, what else is possible here? And who else can I serve? So yeah, I wish I knew when I was younger. I'd be probably much further along, but it's okay. We find our path when we're meant to, right? So
here's the problem I'm having with all of this, Kate, is that you have a beautiful smile on your face. And I have a problem with that. It tells me that you're really passionate about this. What's with the smile on your face?
I can talk about horses to anyone that will listen for as long as I could. Dorothy probably can relate.
We're going to have to introduce Dorothy. How would you introduce Dorothy, and what would you like to say to her, Kate?
I'm just super excited to talk to another professional that, is not necessarily in the States right nearby, but I've had visitors come from Canada, and I personally believe that what I've seen, the equine practitioners that are doing this work in Canada, sorry US, but I do think they're more advanced and doing cooler things. From what I've seen, just looking at all the businesses over the last few years, I just see some of the coolest stuff going on up there. So I'm excited to learn from you here and know more. And I always just like meeting other professionals because it's really fun to grow the herd, right? And to see
let me
the
write that down.
Grow the herd.
Exactly.
So what is it you'd like to ask Dorothy?
Yeah, I would love to. I'm so glad I switched from interviewee to interviewer. I love it. I can do both. I enjoy both. I would love to know how you got started with horses, like where your journey began with horses, and like who you mostly serve these days.
So my journey began as a very shy child, and my father was smart enough to go, hey, maybe she'd like a pony, since all girls love ponies. And I did. I grew up having ponies, no riding lessons, like falling off in the back bush and getting hurt, all that. But it did develop that self-confidence that I had. And I had horses on and off, on and off, on and off. Fast forward, I have a daughter who does love horses as well. And no matter what you say, you can't teach your child to love a horse. They either do or they don't. Middle school, I guess what you'd call in the States, junior high here, she started to get bullied by her own sports teammates at school. She hid it quite well, actually. I didn't realize she was doing it. And the one thing that she absolutely loved, of course, was her horse riding lessons. So the one day, the horse that regularly she rode turned up lame. So the instructor said, go get Shatir out of the field. Shatir was my friend's horse. He was an ex-show horse from the States. He was highly neurotic Arabian. And I just thought to myself, how is that going to work? A sad, angry teenager and a highly neurotic, sensitive Arabian. And, she got on him And he walked her to the end of the arena away from everybody else. And he stood there and he put his head to the ground. This horse never had his head to the ground. He was always up. And I watched, and the coach, we were watching, we're like, what's going on here? And it was like you could see the energy rippling from her down through him. And I'm like, what's he doing? This is not what horses do. Wait a minute. It is what's he doing? And so in my child's darkest time, I figured out at the age of, 54, that's what I want to do. I've always wanted to help people. Always loved horses. Boom, what is this? And I searched for, the certification program that I was happy with, which was here down by Calgary. And quit my job, and I've been doing it ever since. Now, you know what, you and I know we can help everybody, team building, personal development. So you got to pick who you want to help. And what really resonates with myself, and I've got a co-facilitator, is working with people who are at risk. So women who've gone through abuse, family abuse, women coming out of the prison system, men coming out of the prison system. That's right now what really fills our tank.
And I know you have a burning question for Kate. Dorothy.
I do. So I absolutely checked out your website and I love it. And I love very much, and it very much resonates with me, is that you have like a spiritual aspect. And you're right. That's what makes it different from the traditional certification. But there are many of us in this who are very much drawn to that aspect.
And what's that question? What's that burning question you have?
The question is how do you incorporate that spiritual aspect?
Yeah, I love that question. Well, so my master's is in spiritual psychology, and I hid the spiritual side of myself in corporate America, and I was, working in corporate America while I was getting that training, and then also in the horse space until finally I just said, I can't. And I was talking to enough colleagues that were like, okay, we love the spiritual side of horses. And so I changed my brand from Equine Rock Stars, which was very, vanilla, to Awakening with Equines, which for me is about the awe. So I first saw is that horses are always inspiring awe, right? Like what you saw Arabian put his head down, and what was happening in that energy transference and transmutation. And so not everyone sees that. They think, oh, the horse is just pausing. They're just reading the body language. But with the spiritual component, we're reading the energy, right? Which is what you did. So for me, it's being willing to talk about energy first and foremost in the horse world instead of just body language. And then it's talking about like what it means to practicing some of these spiritual concepts, which is really just our authentic self, our true nature, compassion, authenticity, joy, so different vibrations and frequencies that we all have, and really working on growing those as like our core of who we are. So it's coming out of that ego-based life, which is what I lived for a while, but the horses have no real interest in, honestly, to that driven life and really seeing the soul of the horse and their medicine and their energy and who they're being as spiritual teachers instead of just a prey animal, because they are that, but they're also, to me, spiritual teachers. So I liked starting to have the conversation, and it's fun now because I'm finding more of the like-minded, like-hearted people in this conversation, right? And then I go to how do we also then blend science and spirituality, right? So, and so that's like what's next for me, because I love neuroscience and I love somatics. And so I'm like, okay, how do we then just blend the two of them, really have the whole story?
I want to tell anybody and everybody who's watching this recording that we're going to wrap things up pretty soon, but I want to make a point here that Kate and Dorothy are meeting for the first time today. And I first met Kate on a webinar a number of months back. We were both guests on a webinar, and I fell in love with what you are doing, knowing that I don't know much about it, but it oozed positive mental health in one way, in one capacity for me. And I reached out to you. Since then, I've met Dorothy. And the name of your business is what, Dorothy?
Centaur Wellness.
Yes.
So it's a
And
combination of human and horse.
Pardon me?
It's the combination of human and horse, the partnering.
Which I needed to ask you when we first met up for coffee.
Right.
And you've clarified a lot for me, so I appreciate that. So I met Dorothy recently and thought, I got to introduce these two folks to one another. You're so unique in what the both of you do. I'm so thrilled that the two of you are connecting today. That's my contribution to today's conversation. I know the two of you are going to continue connecting. What is it you'd like, before we hand it over to Kate to kind of wrap things up, Dorothy, what would you like to say to anybody and everybody watching today's LinkedIn Live, StreamYard get together? What is it you'd like to share with everyone?
You know what? Working with horses, it's life changing. It's sometimes hard for us to describe, and I love the word that Kay uses, is awe. Working and partnering with the horses as spiritual, emotional creatures that they are, they really can elicit incredible, powerful self-development, self-knowledge, self-growth. And I absolutely urge people to come on out and visit your local, because we are around. It's not hard to find us, actually. And give it a shot, because it's amazing. It is.
Thank you. Kate, I give the floor to you. What would you like to share with everyone?
Yeah, I concur on that. You can find your local provider for sure. And there's a difference between therapists and learning professionals in this space too. And if someone needs more psychotherapy, that's available. If you want something that's more learning based, that's a coach or an educator. But I love that it ties in so well to your name, Robert, in the sense that horses are about power. They're huge. People have to address their own issues with power when they're around them. That's super potent. That alone is enough for a lot of people. And then in addition, I mean, one of my mares is more serious, my female horses, and the other one is all about play. But ultimately, like, that is a thing that we can do with them too. And I just personally would love to see professionals starting to partner more. Yeah, I love it. Like, how fun would a horse, how fun would that be to bring that up to a horse and have, a kid or a team member talk through what their gift is, like what they need to share, right, through the flower. So a lot of the work is metaphor based. It's mirroring, and it's, we start to see things that we would never see just in a regular therapy office or a coach on the phone. You're just really getting you're just getting kind of the best partner you can for mental health. But I just think it'd be fun to do more synergies and collaborations with other people who are working with like-minded groups. There's a way that like your learning and background can apply to what I'm doing, to what courses are doing. And then I love the prison stuff, Dorothy. I want to ask you so much more on that at some point, because that's something I've always wanted to do. But yeah, anyways, that's my wrap up on that.
Very quickly, share one story, Kate. Share one story. A time you and your horses and those you are helping and serving and your clients, the time you a story.
Oh my goodness, I have so many, but to keep it within inside of the corporate, we're in LinkedIn. I had two really, enthusiastic, I'll call it, sales executives come out, and I asked them to connect with the horse, and then without any tack, any equipment, have a horse move to a certain area, and they went into go mode. We got to get it done. We have to hit the goal. It was very goal oriented and task oriented, and they were getting a lot of chaos. And I just said to them, "Hey, I'm just curious, did you check in with the horse?" And they're like, "Oh my God, we didn't." And I'm like, yeah. So how often do you go into relationships that were from wanting the outcome and the result rather than actually rapport and relationship? And they're like, oh my gosh, you're right. So they went over and talked to the sensitive mare and put their hand up on her cheek and just really, really emotional and very quiet and very centered, because they realized like it was a game changer in that moment, that their way of being needed to shift so that they would feel better, have better relationships, and therefore have better results.
Can you relate, Dorothy?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. They will mirror off and let us know when we're not being authentic.
So a time you share a quick story, a time you.
For me?
Yeah.
I'm shifting more into the energy part, which really is really heartfelt for me. So we were working with some ladies who were in a halfway house coming out of the prison system. And the one lady, the horse kept, I love your podcast about boundaries, Kate. So of course the horse was most definitely intruding in in her space and her boundaries. And so you come up as a facilitator and you're going to, this is interesting. What's this all about? And in the end, she had that aha moment. Literally, this lady said, well, of course, this horse doesn't respect my boundaries. I've never had them because I had a traumatic childhood. I don't even know what that looks like. And we're like, well, today's the day you can start to feel what that feels like and what you need to bring in yourself or develop in yourself to set some boundaries. And it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so important. It's such important work.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
And if anybody and everyone who's watching this, they believe, as does Kate and Dorothy, that this is important work, how do they find you, Dorothy? How do people find you here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada? How do people find you?
centaurwellness.ca.
There you go. There you go. And Kate, one more time.
Sure. Kate Neligan, 1L.com. And I'm on all the social media platforms,
Yes.
Neligan Equine Coach, or the Facebook group Awakening with Equines.
Thank you very much to the both of you. You rock. You rock. The both of you rock.
Thank you. So do you. We appreciate this platform. Thank you, Robert.
Oh, I appreciate both of you. We'll connect again.
Sounds good.
Absolutely.
We're done. We're done. We're done.
So nice to meet you.
Good. Bye.
Wonderful to meet you.
Thank you.